All right. Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. You ready to get into it?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so today we're talking about unlimited sales-led platforms.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, for anybody out there who's trying to just really level up their sales game.
Right.
So we found this really cool top 10 list from the top 10s.
Okay.
And it breaks down the top 10 platforms that are offering these types of services, unlimited sales leads.
Nice.
And the list is super interesting. It doesn't just like list out, here are the top 10. It goes into kind of the good and the bad, the pros and the cons of each one, like who should be using this, what are they doing right, what are they doing wrong.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. When we think about sales, it's all about that quantity.
Oh, for sure.
Getting as many leads as possible. And so these platforms, these different platforms, I think it's going to be really interesting to dive into and kind of see how they all approach that. But also where maybe some of the pitfalls are and what to look out for.
For sure. And I think there's such a broad range of these companies.
Right.
Some of them are like brand new. Some of them have been around for a long time. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of see, what the landscape looks like now.
Absolutely.
Okay. So they ranked salesfully.com as number one.
Okay.
And they're a fairly new company, but they're coming in hot.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah, they're saying unlimited leads for a flat fee.
Okay.
Which is pretty aggressive.
That's bold.
And they're also offering a free trial with 1,000 free leads.
Wow, I mean that's got to be enticing, right? To just be able to, dip your toes in the water, see what it's all about.
Totally.
I mean, that's a lot of leads just to kind of try it out and see if it's the right fit for you.
Yeah, and they're right at number one, so.
It must be working, right?
I guess so.
Right.
I guess so. And right behind them is listshack.com, another one, kind of a new company. But they're saying unlimited downloads, up to 50,000 a month.
50,000? That's a lot.
I know.
I mean, could you imagine,
do you need that many?
Right. Exactly. I mean, who needs that many leads? Unless you're I don't know, running like a massive, massive corporation. It just seems like...
it almost seems like overkill.
Yeah.
Unless you're, like you said, some massive company, then maybe, but
Maybe. Or maybe if you're in a field that's just super high volume.
Okay.
But yeah, 50,000, that's a lot.
And, not every business is that big.
Right. Right.
And not every business needs that kind of volume.
Totally. Some businesses, they're much more specialized.
Yeah.
And they're not looking for just, a ton of leads. They're looking for very specific types of leads.
Exactly, yeah. So what about those smaller operations that, don't need that fire hose of leads?
Yeah.
Where do they go?
Well, that's where you start looking at, some platforms like infofree.com or salesgenie.com.
Okay.
And these are platforms that, while they may not offer unlimited downloads, they're really focused on, catering to those smaller needs. Think of it kind of like, going to a buffet versus a really carefully curated tasting menu.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, it's about, getting the right leads, not necessarily the most leads.
Yeah. So salesgenie.com, they actually compare to infosay.com as being kind of like the budget-friendly option.
Gotcha.
But maybe they're saying that their customer support isn't quite as strong.
Yeah, that can definitely be a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
You save a little bit of money, but you might not get the same level of support if you run into any issues or have any questions.
Right. And speaking of infosay.com, they're like the old guard, right?
Yeah, they've been around forever. They have a really solid reputation in the industry.
Yeah, amazing marketing tools, as they say in the list. What kind of marketing tools are we talking about here?
So with infosay.com, you're not just getting access to leads, you're also getting access to a whole suite of tools that can help you, manage those leads, nurture them. So things like email marketing automation, CRM integration, even social media management tools.
Oh, wow.
So it's really about providing you with a whole platform to really manage that entire sales process.
So they're kind of going a step beyond just giving you the list of names.
Exactly. It's not just about the leads, it's about what you do with them.
I see, okay. All right, now there's one on here that kind of caught my eye just from the description.
Okay.
It's infoseek.com.
Infoseek.com, yeah.
And apparently you can only access this through your local library.
That's really interesting. I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, I know, right? So I'm curious, what's going on there? What is their model?
It's It's unique, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if it has something to do with, maybe they're targeting a specific audience.
Right.
Maybe they're focusing on, nonprofits or educational institutions
Right.
that might rely more on, public resources like libraries.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, that's an interesting one. Okay, now for the people who are really needing to like drill down and get those, in-depth financial data profiles.
Oh, yeah, the serious stuff.
Yeah, there's Experian.com.
Of course, Experian, a very well-known name in the credit world.
Yeah, for sure. But you pay for that though, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Experian's going to be on the higher end
Okay.
of the pricing spectrum when it comes to these platforms. But, you're paying for that level of detail.
Yeah?
That depth of information. So it's really for those businesses that need that kind of granular financial data, like, think loan officers,
Yeah.
insurance brokers, anyone who's really making decisions based on, someone's financial history.
Yeah, they need that very specific information, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about, any lead. It's about a highly qualified lead.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So, moving right along, we have megaleads.com.
Okay.
And this one, it mentions that their customer service is great,
Oh, that's good.
but their interface isn't necessarily the best looking.
I've heard some mixed things about their customer service, actually.
Really?
Some people rave about it.
Oh.
Others, have said that they found them unresponsive or difficult to work with.
Okay.
So I guess it's a bit of, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah, so maybe do your research first.
Yeah, always a good idea to do your homework.
Okay. Salesleadsync.com.
All right.
This one they say it's not flashy, but they're really good about getting you those very targeted leads, and they have excellent support.
So, again, kind of a trade-off.
Yeah.
Maybe you're sacrificing a little bit of the bells and whistles, but you're getting that support and that really targeted list that you need.
Okay. That makes sense. And then last but not least, we have exactdata.com.
Exactdata.com. This is the big leagues.
This is the big one.
This is where the Fortune 500 companies are hanging out.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is not for, Joe Schmo who just opened up his pizza shop down the street.
Probably not. They take a very consultative approach.
Okay.
They work really closely with their clients to develop, very customized solutions.
Oh, yeah.
But that level of, personalization and that level of service, it comes at a price, of course.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, I mean, we just went through the top 10.
That's a lot of platforms.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of platforms. So, what does all this mean? What does it mean for the listener out there who's, thinking about diving into the world of unlimited sales lead platforms?
Well, I think the key takeaway here is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay, yeah.
There's so much out there. There's so much variety. And each platform really has its own personality, its own approach. It's like choosing, a car or a house.
Yeah.
You really have to think about, like, what are your needs?
Yeah.
What are your priorities? So, think about things like, do you value volume over precision? Are you comfortable with kind of a more DIY approach? Or do you need a platform that's going to hold your hand every step of the way?
Yeah.
What's your budget?
Yeah.
Once you kind of start thinking about those things, you can really start to narrow down, which platforms are going to be the right fit for you.
Yeah. And, as you're thinking about that, as you're researching these platforms, we just talked about all these different companies.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them like, small, scrappy startups. Some of them, these big established players. Think about which approach kind of speaks to you.
Yeah.
Does it make more sense for you to go with that big company that's got all the bells and whistles?
Yeah.
Or are you more comfortable with, a smaller, more nimble company?
That's a great question.
Yeah, what feels right in your gut?
That's where it starts, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and maybe that can help you kind of figure out, like, where to go from here.
Awesome.
And find the platform that's really going to help you kind of achieve your sales goals and grow your business.
Sounds good.
All right, well, that's another deep dive complete.
Down.
As always, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.